Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here, and today we're going to be discussing flying with your firearms, as well as providing a channel update for you long-time subscribers. So before I get into it, though, I'd like to send a big thank you out to everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed on the previous videos. I always appreciate and always enjoy talking to you guys. But if you're new here to the channel, welcome. If you enjoy this video, enjoy this type of content, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. And with the PR out the way, let's get into it. So first thing, apologies to you guys for not having an upload in some time. If you're a long-time subscriber here, you know the cadence has been kind of out. It's been a little bit of time since the last upload, and it's been due to a variety of things. As I've said before, this channel is more of a fun thing just for me, interacting with the community and kind of talking outside of the bubble as far as, sometimes you feel like you're in the fishbowl. And just kind of providing my insight into some things and hopefully showing you guys things that aren't, commonly around or commonly available. And just, giving my insight into those things. But the reason why there hasn't been that much content recently, but I'm going to get back into the swing of it, is this channel is for fun. It's just a hobby, and it's not a job for me. It's something I enjoy doing, and if, life gets in the way, as it usually does, then it's going to take a break, at least for me. I'm going to try to make it a bit more of a priority since we're getting a bit bigger here, but at the same time, just setting expectations that if life happens, you may go cold for a bit. That's also kind of touching on the point of all the comments that are currently on the previous videos. I am going to respond to all of them. Apologies for the bit of a delay. I know some of them are saying, hey, I'm looking to purchase this, so if you're still waiting on that, I will reply, but hopefully you haven't been. And as far as the life getting in the way, for me personally, I kept the same career but changed jobs, and of course that always comes with its own little bit of things. A better job, so yippee. So hopefully should be able to find more pews. But traveling and just kind of housework and just everything. So that's the general gist of why there hasn't been too many videos, but I'm going to try to get back in the regular cadence of at least getting once a week. That should not be too hard to come across. So with that out the way, I'm going to get into the main point. But let me know what you guys think, if there's anything that's been missed. And again, this is the moment for anyone who has been a long-time subscriber to say, hey, what type of content you want to see. I know there's a bunch of range videos. It's just difficult getting the range videos, and the bench rest ones are ones that I've always enjoyed. So anyway, we're talking about the other part of the video. So for those that aren't long-time subscribers, people who are just curious about this subject, is flying with firearms. So as of recent, had to fly from BWI Airport to Tampa TPA Airport. So just to happen the two, I'm going to speak of those two because that was my most recent trip. There's been a few from like Boise to Tampa, and there was one in Portland to Austin, and then there's even a Canadian one. So anyway, there's been a few. But I'm going to speak about this BWI to Tampa trip that I was on, just kind of connecting flights and just kind of how it went. So generally for an airline, each airline is going to have its own set regulations. Whenever you're flying to a state, of course, you also have to make sure that you review whatever their local laws that they have there are. So if they have a specific magazine restriction, etc., then you are applicable to those laws. Same thing for carrying loaded magazines, etc. So that's one thing you always have to be considerate of when you're flying with firearms, is make sure that the state that you're going to is going to be receptive to what you currently are bringing from yours. So if you're going from, Texas to California, it's going to be a lot different if you're going from California to Texas. So that's one thing. Like I said, the airlines set their own regulations for how they fly with firearms. Some are better than worse. I've traditionally found that Southwest appears to be generally the easiest most times. But then also the airports can be complicated. So it's really a understanding that everyone is not going to be exactly the same, and every experience is going to be a bit different, but they're all going to follow around the same guidelines, which is, I took this Vectron trip And you think, oh, well, this is, kind of freaky looking. People think it's an airsoft gun, so shouldn't be too big, bad, and scary. But I was flying with Southwest. Yes, I blacked out all my information. So none of the none of the people on the internet can come hunt me down. Even though, yeah, be a good try, though. Don't worry, the gun is unloaded. So flying with Southwest. So I got this out of my Pelican case that I traveled with, and this is essentially, I'm going to walk you through the process of what to expect. Again, this is specific to BWI to Tampa, and Tampa back to BWI, and Southwest in particular, so your mileage may vary. But Southwest, upon going to BWI, going to the airport, you have your big case. First thing I would say is you're going to need a hard-sided case with double locking points, so one on the farthest end, that way they can't pry it open. I like to put some kind of sticker on there that is very non-firearm-esque. Yes, you can put your mag pools and your SIGs and all your things on there, make it look bang, whiz, go fast, cool. However, I go a little bit more discreet, and when having a long case, like a Pelican standard case, I like to slap some Yamaha or some kind of instrument stickers on there, because if anyone asks, to say, oh, well, I'm a pianist. One, I like saying it, but two, it's kind of fits the bill and is kind of somewhat believable, and also kind of deters any sneaky not TSA agents, but airport baggage handlers from saying your case went missing, which is one thing I'm always concerned about, because I like having my firearms always with me. But with that being said, you go up to the checked baggage area, and don't make a big fuss about it, but you put your case up on the scale, and you say, I'm here to declare a firearm. Don't have to be a big scene about it. One thing to note is, at least with Southwest in particular, they do have a 50-pound weight limit. So you can have a long case, and it can be weird, big, and huge, obscure, but as long as it's under that 50 pounds total, then you're clear to go. And for me, I was able to hold a full-size AK, this Vector, and a Glock 48, as well as a full round of magazine, full magazines for each. So one full magazine for each. And that was like 48.7 pounds, so right under that threshold. But once you get there, the locks do have to be something that is not TSA, so it does have to be a actual padlock. It's not supposed to be a TSA one. Biggest, baddest one you can find, I'd always recommend. Of course, with the Pelican ones, I also recommend that if you get the locking tabs, that they have the little metal casings around them. So you get like a giant, master lock, what have you. I prefer Abus locks, German-made, nice discus lock. Yeah, they're the best. Anyway, once you do that, unlock your case. Sometimes they will say, we need to see what's in the case. But most of the times, they don't want to see, they don't care, they don't want to cause commotion, you don't want to freak out people behind you, because, everyone's a bit different, and they'll just say, open it up enough to slip this in there, and that is this card. So, one thing to note is that, at least with Southwest, that your firearms do have to be unloaded, of course, so nothing in the chamber, no magazine in there. But the ammunition has to be in a TSA certified or approved container or carrying device. Now, somebody may say, oh, I need to bring the box ammunition. No. The magazines, again, unloaded magazines. So if you load it in the magazine, it is actually an approved ammunition carrying device. It just can't be in the gun. So you can have your magazines loaded, but they just can't be in the gun. Now, the biggest thing is they say they don't want loose ammunition because they don't want any chance of hitting the primer. So, valid concern, fairly easy to get through. Once you do that, you lock it back up. I also recommend that you take a picture of everything prior to going to the airport. That way you kind of can have everything in the case documented in the state that it left your hands, as well as all the serial numbers that are accompanying with it in the unfortunate event that it does get lost or stolen. So, with that, they will take your bag, or they'll take your case, throw it on the belt, and off to the races. Now, when you check in your bags, I personally would recommend waiting around for about 15 minutes. There have been 2 times that I've traveled that they said, excuse me, you need to come back to the baggage claim or the baggage check-in area. We have some additional questions. Sometimes they may pull aside for additional security verification. So that's the process of checking in the bag after about that 15-minute kind of kind of waiting time, then you're free to go check in as you normally would. So for me, it's very, don't trust anybody, but it's hard for me to get to that level of trust and say, okay, I'm going to sit around for 2 hours. Don't freak out. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Now, upon delivery of your firearms, so upon getting to your destination, I've never had a connecting flight as far as having to go from one to the other. I've always just done direct flights, especially when flying firearms. I get the direct flights. Just because it removes any kind of chance of it getting lost. But once you get to the airport, it's obviously not going to come around the conveyor belt. Even if you don't have the long case, even if you're just putting it in a book bag or anything, then it's not going to come around the conveyor belt. In Tampa, they have Tampa actually has probably one of the best experiences that I've had in a good long time with traveling with firearms, and it was just how they handled it. So instead of having just like a single person just sitting on the end who hates their job, just kind of pops out of a belt, they actually have a little special waiting area if that's for special baggages, but particularly firearms. It's a little office, 2 people are in it. They'll bring your bag out at the baggage claim area. As soon as it comes out, they will have it. They'll put it in the bag for you. Then once you come up, you say, hey, I'm here to claim my firearm. They ask for a description of the case, and then you hand over your card. So, not this card. You hand over your ticket, which has your baggage claim number. Now, when you go to the check-in back at BWI, I highly recommend that you get the printed ticket because you're going to get this little piece of paper that obviously is your checked baggage claim number. You need to keep that, and I find it good just because you put it on your ticket, you stick it on the back. It's a little double-sided sticky, or single-sided sticky, and then you say, hey, yes, this is me. Okay, cool. Have a nice day. Walk out of the airport, free as a bird. Now, of course, I know you want to make sure everything's still there, so on and so forth, but if the locks are there, you trust that it's there. You don't want to open up the case in the middle of the airport. If you really have to, you're really jonesing, go to the bathroom, do somewhere private outside of public view. That way you don't cause a commotion and end up in a bad situation. So that's generally getting to the location. That's going to be the overall process. This is still going to be in here. And going over this card a bit, so Southwest Firearms Declaration. This firearm belongs to your customer name, your flight number. It's going to have your city, state, your zip code, your phone number, where you're going from, where you're going to, your flight, and your date. With all that being said, this is in there in the event that it does get lost, mishandled, what have you. They know who the guns belong to, where they're supposed to be going to, and of course, this is kind of like their own CYA, just to kind of check and balance. And of course, when you flip it to the back, you pause to read this if you want. Not loaded magazine, loaded magazines or clips are packaged to prevent accidental activation of the primer. Then you sign it, and this goes in there. You don't get a copy of this. This stays in the case with it. You only get your ticket. So that's the form that you get. You get it each time that you fly, so you don't just reuse it. You have to do it each time. Make sure you take the one that was in there out of there. That way, again, if it gets lost or the case gets broken into, then you don't have to worry about it. Now, here's the other situation. That's why I brought this specific story up, because BWI was fairly simple, out and about, there you go. And picking it up at Tampa was pretty easy. However, on going back to BWI from Tampa, process was a little bit different. Same thing, went to the checked baggage. But after I got checked baggage, they threw this little card in, same process, but they had a special baggage handler who they usually either have a security guard, a cop, or they have one of the senior managers. They will take you will take your case, and you will go over to a special screening area on the far side of the airport. There's a little area where it says you cannot pass go, or you can't pass this point. They will take your case to basically another X-ray detector, a little bit different from everything else. They will scan it. They'll verify, sir, there's nothing loaded in here. Everything's separate, so on and so forth. The TS agent, you wait around for about 5-10 minutes. They don't open the case. You don't have to open the case. They're not cutting the locks or anything. They're just scanning additionally. Then they give you a thumbs up, say, okay, sir, you're good to go. Have a nice day. Now, that's pretty easy, just additional screening thing. I have had it to where they pulled me back, asked me to open the case, and just visually inspect or visually show that the firearms are unloaded. I would not fight them on this. Again, it's a whole process. It varies from airport to airport, agent to agent, policy to policy, airline to airline. So, don't get on your high horse and say, oh, you can't do this with rights, what have you. You can if you want, but me, I just find it's easier to go along with the show. As long as you're doing the right thing and not being an idiot, then you really should have no issues. Now, going back to BWI Airport. In that process, it was a little bit different, and I did not like how they did it at BWI as far as for the returning. So they had my case come through. After they had my case come through, they have, instead of a lockdown kind of secure somewhat area, and they handle it a bit more professional manner. This one was just a oversized baggage conveyor belt, one person there, and was just taking oversized luggage and just putting it on the side. I didn't like that because people were just coming up and grabbing their own bags and grabbing everything that was just sitting there. Now, obviously, if someone sees a giant big gun case, they may be somewhat tempted to walk out with said gun case. Of course, that's no felony, it's no big issue, but it's still the risk of it to where they didn't monitor it as closely as they did at Tampa. Now, I still had the baggage claim number, but the lady did not check it, didn't care about it. People were just taking their bags and going. So your mileage may vary, but that's the general process that I was going through. So that's kind of the process that you should expect. Again, it's not too much of a big deal as you would think it is. I would recommend that unless you have to take your long guns, and you're just taking for self-defense, your CCW, I would highly recommend just taking a pistol, throwing it in your backpack, and there you go. A bit nondescript, not as obvious as what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much the channel update and the process of how to fly with firearms. Use your best judgment, guys. You can call the airlines prior and kind of say, hey, what's your guys' policy? So on and so forth. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. And with that, I hope you guys are having a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys.